as I look at it, you guys are serious people. But I do want you to think about not just what you do, but what you produce. And here in Matthew 28, after the resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples. So I want you to look at that with me, and I want to recapitulate something to you that should be a benefit. Now, what did I say? Don't you want to leave something here other than natural things when you die? I'm not just talking about your biological family members and children and that kind of thing. I'm talking about people whose lives you impacted, who not only got saved, but were discipled into ministry. It used to be we could say, well, go join a church and go sit up under a pastor where they preach the word. Now that's almost a dangerous thing to do. So many so-called Christian leaders are failing God, getting out of the ministry, stopping, quitting. I'm talking about you can go online and get it. They don't get it themselves. That life isn't about what they do, but what they produce as far as kingdom values are concerned. I am mentioning the fruit of the Spirit, but I'm also mentioning people whose lives, who not only been changed by your life, but were discipled by you. You got to disciple your converts now. I'm just saying. And you say, well, I don't live where they live at. Well, use the phone. Use Zoom. Look, I'm doing it right now. So look, stop. This is an excuseless season for going further in God. And let's go. And then this idea of, I'm going to church and not being fed, they don't preach the word good enough, they're elementary. Well, when are you going to think about going to church for what you bring rather than what you get? But come on, but doesn't the Bible say it's more blessed to give than to receive? You think he's talking about just about money? Jesus gave his whole life. Should you give a part of yours? Come on. So this is it. So in Matthew 28 and verse 16, the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, into a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. So I've said this, but I do know it's important. Notice who took the assignment and who knew where they should be. And disciples. It's critical that a disciple understand where they're supposed to be. Two ways. Where you're supposed to be physically and where you're supposed to be spiritually, meaning in terms of the word. Where are you in the word? How often are you in the word? How much word do you put into you daily? Where are you in prayer? Where are you in your giving? This is talking about where they were to be physically. But before Jesus gave them an assignment to meet him after his resurrection, they'd already fulfilled the mandate of the natural things that they were to do, which, by the way, they'd given up every priority they had in life to follow the author of life. That's Jesus. That's how they got the term disciples, disciplined ones. Isn't that you? Who are you under? Who can tell you no? I had somebody apologize for misspeaking to me recently. I'm talking about the tone, the attitude. Yeah. So, you got to honor somebody somewhere. Submission under the destiny of God. And often that does come through someone else. That's when you go to a church and you do get a message. Isn't that someone speaking as the voice of God? Right? But when you pray for somebody, isn't you praying as though it's Jesus praying for these people too? Isn't that this assignment here? Isn't there a difference being made when several people who, during that testimonial time, take the time and say, remember to pray for me? You know, well, if you didn't write their names down or if you didn't make a notation, then you had to breathe the prayer right then when they were saying. Sometimes that's what you got to do, you see. But listen, come on. You and I may be the best disciples Jesus left on the planet. You don't know. You can't judge anybody, their level, but you may be. So what would go on and what should go on if the world's life with God was depending upon how you're living it? Let's say you're on assignment. The Lord is trusting you to make the difference in the world, and you can be trusted. That's what's about to happen. Because it says in verse 17 of Matthew 28, and when they saw him, they worshiped him. That's important too. Actually, people worship God to the degree that they see God in reality. The more you're being a Christian is religious, the less you trust to make religion your priority. Did you hear what I just said? In other words, the more you're serving, reading the Bible, praying, listening to messages, being around other Christians, as long as you see that environment that you're around, things that you do, what you listen to, is about God, that's what influences the priorities of your life. Why would we want to be influenced by anything else other than godliness and godly people? I mean, that brings me to who you hang around. So now, you may or may not have thought about this, but for 3.5 years, the disciples only hung around Jesus and each other. Look at the power of synergy. One put 1,000 to flight, two put 10,000 to flight. Those Christians who are walking with Jesus, who understood the power of the blended whole. I mean, you could be the person that ignites the great revival in the city you're in. Now, if you immediately go to, well, I don't have influence, I'm only a woman, I'm not old enough, I'm not educated enough, I don't know enough theology. Stop it. I just said to you, this is a season where your excuses won't work for you. Things, and one of my daughters is in East Texas, and, Texas just went through a great challenge with flooding, and hundreds of people, the last time I checked, it was about 179 people were missing, but scores of them had died. And, you can blame the devil, but also you can watch this, strong, you can blame God. What do you mean blame God? Well, if he's God, the judge of all, it could be that inclement weather was an initiative for a sin that's never been dealt with in the past. I could go there with you to Isaiah 61 or Isaiah 58 to restore the waste places. What's one of the waste places? The destruction of the Native Americans. We slaughtered those people to establish this country and almost wiped them out. The Native Americans, Indians, the cowboys we like looking at, and some do. That stuff happened. Maybe not exactly the same, but we made 1,000 treaties with the Native Americans and never kept any of them. But I'm still in the Word. I'm at Matthew 28, and I'm talking about Jesus appearing to his disciples, and they were in the right place at the right time. What about the ones? I mean, Jesus had more than the 12, but the 12 knew to be there, and they were. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, first of all, they knew to have the right spirit, the right attitude. It says, and they worshiped him. When they saw him, he was resurrected. They never saw anybody that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, but there was nobody who resurrected themselves. The Holy Ghost resurrected him. He came back. They saw somebody who literally was dead that is now alive again. So bless you. Look, be encouraged. For the joy of the Lord is your strength, is my prayer for you. God bless.